Delivering successful projects can be simple. Too often when we're thinking and looking at projects, all we see is hassle, cost overruns, failed results. Why is this when if we just do things correctly, and I don't mean by just following the orthodox project delivery methodologies, we can be successful very simply. Let's take you through the process. So why is it elusive? Well, depending on your data source, around 60% of projects are compromised on one or more ways. Over time, over budget, under delivering. But those are not really the measures of success. The real measures of success are realized, sustained business outcomes, benefits and value. And you use those measures, then only about 5% of projects are truly successful. Now, many excuses are given. Poor estimates, poor requirements, poor management, poor this, poor that. But the problem is more fundamental. Most projects do not define their true business measures of success. They define what they're going to do, but not what they're trying to achieve. And therefore they don't align all the activities to efficiently deliver them. When you use the true business measures of success to drive your projects, you can more easily ensure you're wholly successful and deliver real value to the business. Around 40% of projects, 40% of projects leave their organisations worse off than before they started. That's an incredibly high figure for such a bad result. But delivering successful projects can be simple if you recognise that there are 3 layers of delivery and measurement involved. So let's initially look through the 10 steps of delivering successful projects, and then we'll look at why are they not working today. Step 1. Start with the end define, your desired business outcomes. And this is where most projects go off the rails. Now, outcomes is a term used a lot in methodologies to mean all sorts of things, objectives, products, benefits, and so on, whereas we're defining your outcomes as the desired business end states, where you want to end up in business as usual after the end of the project when everything's working just right. These definitions are called your desired business outcomes. They need to be clear, specific and measurable. By a true-false question, can we or can't we? Have we or haven't we? Do we or don't we? It's got to be black or white, absolutely clear, because if you don't fully achieve your outcomes, you cannot fully achieve all your benefits. And you need to know that, such you know why these benefits are no longer available and you don't spend time chasing them, or you can take action to try and remediate it and obtain those benefits. Delivery of your desired business outcomes is your primary measure of success, because they in turn enable the business benefits and value. So you need to start by saying not what have we got to do, or what have we got to deliver, what are our products. You've got to start by saying what are we trying to achieve, what are our desired business outcomes. Then you can identify all the changes required to achieve those outcomes. Now, when people talk about change management, people tend to think of the people issues, the warm and fuzzy parts of projects, the training and communications aspects. When we're talking about change and change management, we're talking about all the activities required to move you from your current to your future state. Everything. Not just the people issues. And this is key to your success, to identify and then execute all of the necessary changes. What orthodox project delivery methodologies focus on is what the project team has to do. That's fine for them, but what about the business? What you need to do is identify all the activities to be done by the project team and the business, so you know what the total workload and can compute the total costs. Sounds obvious, very rarely done. Then you define your project's value equation. The equation defines the desired business outcomes to be achieved. They go through lots of iteration between the draft and the final version. the resultant business benefits to be realised that are linked, each benefit is linked to the outcome that will deliver it, the financial benefits to be banked, the change activities, workload and cost to deliver the above value. And notice that sequence. We define the value first, then the cost of delivery, not the normal cost-benefit approach, where the benefits are there to offset the costs. And the optimum outcomes delivery sequence, the roadmap, which prioritises your workload and your activities to achieve the outcomes in the right order to maximise the benefits. Now you know the value of investing in your project and when and how you'll deliver this value and the true measures of success. This is not difficult to do, but we've now moved from the business layer to the value layer. Then you evaluate, prioritise and improve the project investment. Just because you have maybe a positive ROI does not mean this is a good investment. You need to show that it is strategically relevant, that you will get a return, that you can actually deliver it. There are various simple tests you can apply to see whether or not this project is within the capability of the organisation to successfully deliver. Some simple projects anybody can deliver. Other more complex projects, you're just not set up to do it, and therefore embarking on such projects is just a complete waste. You need to have all this assessed independently such that you can actually ensure you are set up for success, not failure. So often when we look at business cases and projects at the business case stage, the seeds of failure are already well embedded in the project, but no one's looking. And then you also have to obviously prioritise in relation to the competing projects and their merits and demands. But importantly, once approved, the relevance, viability and deliverability of the project should be reaffirmed each quarter by the sponsor and steering committee. You shouldn't just approve things and they go on forever, what one of my clients once called being condemned to completion. Once you've said, yes, this is a worthwhile and priority project, each quarter you need to say, is it still relevant? Is it still worthwhile? Is it still deliverable? Such that if it due to changing circumstances, the answer to any of those questions is no, then you can stop it and not waste any more time and money on it. Now we move into the project layer and define the project outcomes and immediate benefits. Because the business outcomes will be delivered in the business and the project will only have a certain impact on that. So you now need to define the outcomes and benefits the project will be delivering. And these will be a subset, or should be a subset, of the agreed business outcomes. And when you define your project outcomes, there are going to be some benefits that become available immediately on delivery of those outcomes. And so they should be assigned to the project. And one of the advantages of doing this is it makes the project outcomes and benefits focused. It sees its success as measured in terms of the value delivered, not just in the deliverables delivered. You're starting to have the value concept down at the project level. Then you've set up the project, you've defined what it's to achieve and the benefits. You've got to manage the project's progressive delivery. They call this project management, whereby you organise the efficient delivery of the project outcomes and benefits and avoid compromising the desired results through either poor quality, scope changes, running over time and cost, and so on. The project manager's not only got to deliver the project, he's got to make sure that he's delivered the value of the project as well. And obviously you've got to track progress, and the most effective way of tracking progress is 100% complete deliverables. Each month you should have a list of what outputs or deliverables are due to be delivered this month, and they need to be assessed as 100% complete and to the quality required. Anything less is not acceptable. Anything less is not completion. If all the deliverable dues are delivered, you're on track. But if you've got any shortfalls, any compromises, any missing of these deadlines, then you're running late. If you're running late, you're liable to go over time and cost. So you need to measure, are we 100% on time to deliver? Throughout this time, the governance team needs to protect the value. That's what they're there to do, protect and deliver the business value. They are not there to deliver a project on time, on budget. That's the project manager's job. So they need to take the value equation, the outcomes, benefits and value, and ensure that these are fully delivered and protect that value from changes on the project, shortfalls on the project, making sure that the business doesn't make decisions that will undermine the value of the project. That is their role, and that is what they need to be trained to do to make sure that they deliver the maximum value. Time and cost are still important, but now as value determinants, because increases in time and cost diminish the value that you can deliver. And so you progressively measure the full delivery of the project outcomes and the immediate benefits. So it's not just have we delivered the output, the products or whatever it is that the project was to deliver, but have we actually achieved the project outcomes and benefits and all the immediate value. So now the project is only complete and successful when all of its agreed outcomes and benefits have been measured as delivered in full. As each project outcome is defined in clear, specific, black or white measurable terms, this measurement is easy. It's either fully delivered or it's not. And if it's not, then you know that some of the business benefits and business outcomes will be compromised. You will not get the value you sought. And step 10 is to govern and manage the full delivery of the remaining business outcomes and benefits after the project has finished. Too often, when the project finishes, the governance team finishes because they think their role is looking after the project, when in fact their role is looking after the business value to be delivered. So they need to continue on and make sure that there is the full measured delivery of the desired business outcomes, the benefits and the value. Each measure needs to be tracked and reported separately so that the project investment's full value can be verified and celebrated as successfully delivered. In addition, all the causes of shortfalls and variations need to be visible and followed up to maximize the value delivered. So they're the 10 steps of the process. Or as we put it, it really is that simple. None of that is complex. None of that is hard to do. But in this end-to-end process, too often there are gaps and deficiencies that cause it not to work. Success is too often measured in terms of delivery. We've delivered this, that and the other, the CRM system or the new building or whatever, on time, on budget or whatever, therefore we've been successful. No, that's not the measure of success. Or it can be measured in terms of use. Well, we've delivered the outputs to the business and they're being used, so that means we've been successful. No, it's whether the level of improvement expected has been realized on the business on a sustained basis. The deficient measures of success are caused by fallacious beliefs like build it and the benefits will come, and the deficiencies in the enabling processes. Some of these processes in organizations can be missing altogether. Many are misplaced or misfocused. Let's look at how. Start with the end defined. These are rarely defined correctly. Projects target what has to be done or delivered, not what has to be achieved. What you're trying to achieve is too often assumed rather than defined. When we talk to project sponsors and say, you haven't defined your desired business outcomes, they will give us a list of things they're trying to do or trying to deliver, but that's not the same. You need to define exactly how the business will look when you've delivered these and they're operating and being used effectively. when the term outcome is used in other methodologies, it actually often means benefits, not the business as usual end states. Where project goals are measurable, they're not measurable with a true-false question. You can have a lot of fudge room if you don't have this very clear black and white, can we or can't we, do we or don't we. So each shortfall in your measures of success diminishes your levels of success. Most projects, in fact, when we surveyed 59 projects, we took a week to 5 weeks to analyse these projects. This was not some cursory look. 59 projects in 27 organisations, none, zero, zip, had actually identified their outcomes, their desired business outcomes. This is the most critical thing a project must do, and most projects don't do it. When we look at the activities, only the activities to deliver the project are identified, not the activities to deliver true success. So they're seen, project activities are seen as different to change and business activities, so they're identified, planned, tracked and measured separately. Or their change activities are just seen to deal with the people issues, rather than all the areas that need to change. The overall workload to deliver true success is rarely identified because only the project activities are identified, costed and planned. And each of the gaps in your change plans compromise your results. Change needs to encompass all of the activities required to move the organisation from its current state to its future state and deliver all the benefits. Too few change plans have this coverage. There is too much focus on costs and too little focus on benefits and value. On most projects, the primary focus is on the cost to deliver rather than the value to be delivered. Benefits are seen as an offset to the costs. They're used to justify the costs and generate an return on investment calculation. Once approved, the benefits are largely ignored until after the end of the project because project managers believe that they've got nothing to do with benefits, so they just ignore them. Trouble is, the business expects them to deliver them, so something falls through the gap. The value equation should drive the whole project and all of its activities, not be seen as a means of justifying the investment, because the value equation defines the true measures of success, the business outcomes, the benefits and the value. That's what should drive the project. The costs are now just the costs of delivering that value. That is a very different but important mindset change that organisations need to adopt. Now, few organisations have an effective, objective prioritisation process to maximise the ROI delivered. Now, we're not saying here that every single project has to have a positive ROI, because they won't. There are some you have to do for mandatory reasons. There are some you need to do for competitive reasons that may offset a competitive disadvantage, but you can't actually point to exact figures that it will gain. But overall, your portfolio has to obviously deliver a positive return on investment, otherwise you're burning capital. Now, few organisations even believe they prioritise and select their projects well. They just don't know what the right process is. The decisions are politicised rather than being objective. And in particular, the strategic relevance of each project is not quantified. There may be a tick-the-box type indicator that, yes, we're part of the reducing operational costs initiative or something like that, but that's not good enough. You need a far more detailed analysis of the strategic contribution of every project. The full value of each project is not known because under the cost-benefit type of approach, you only identify enough benefits to offset the costs. You're not identifying all the benefits, just enough to create a positive ROI. The doability of each project is not tested. We don't look at, well, can we actually deliver this? It's a very important question, because one of the things we found in our research was that the difference between two organisations installing the same hardware and software was in their capability to get the value. You can put the same hardware and software in two different companies and get vastly different results because of the doability, the capability of the organisation to successfully deliver projects. The quality of the project and whether it's set up for success is not validated. No one checks. A few people may read the risk part or the finance part or some other part of the proposal. Rarely do people read the whole business case and compare it to the project and ensure that it is completely accurate and set up for success. As a result, poor set up to fail projects are approved and then condemned to completion, wasting millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions in some cases. In one particular project, it was costing at 72 million to deliver 10 products. It delivered one for 210. It was set up to fail at the beginning. You should never have got past the business case stage, but it did, and it wasted millions. A quality prioritization process makes a significant difference to an organization's project success rates and thereby its project results. When we move down to the project level, the contribution of the project to the desired business outcomes and benefits is usually unclear because the outcomes haven't been defined and the project has no connection to them. Now, many project practitioners will claim that projects do not deliver benefits. This is a nonsense. Just because they can't do it on their own, they need to work with the business, but any benefits that have become immediately available on delivery of the project outcomes need to be part of the project charter. Program practitioners will aim to deliver benefits, but often as a separate stream of activities to be managed by benefits managers. No, benefits delivery, the delivery of value is what the project's all about. It's part of the mainstream, not a parallel stream of the project. As the desired business outcomes are not usually defined, the business project outcomes can't be defined, so what the project delivers may or may not enable what the business really wants. We have no means of checking this without the business and project outcome definitions. And often the project's defined before the business outcomes, which is the wrong way around. We define what we're doing and then we will try and work out what we're going to try and achieve. The project should be planning to deliver a clear subset of measurable business outcomes plus their immediately available benefits, but very few projects are. And projects are focused on project delivery, not value delivery. While the project's delivery is usually well managed, it is focused on completing the project tasks and delivering the deliverables. The project outcomes and benefits are not there to be delivered. The primary control is cost, not the protection of business value. So what needs to happen is a mindset change whereby project delivery management needs to be refocused onto value delivery rather than just project delivery, so as to deliver the true measures of success. And progress reporting is rarely informative. Gantt charts are very popular, but basically they don't tell you a lot of information, and they're more likely to confuse than convey meaningful information. As a result, few governance teams really have a clear sight and control of their project's true progress, and what they're allowed to see cannot easily be fudged in the reporting. A project can appear to be on schedule when in fact it's massively late. We believe the only meaningful measure of progress is the verified as 100% complete and to the quality required delivery of project activity outputs to schedule. Late completion equals a late project equals increased cost equals reduced value equals failure. It's important to track real progress at all times, but few reporting processes do it. And governance teams fail to maximize, protect and deliver the value. They don't even know this is their role. They take on time, on budget as their primary measures of success. This is wrong. Yes, time and cost are important because they will diminish the value if they're not managed, but you don't commission projects to deliver something on time, on budget. Very few governance teams have been educated as to their roles and accountabilities, so they don't actually know what they're there to do. Some years ago we wrote a book about steering committees and it was called Why Am I Here? Because that was the most common question that steering committee members asked. More projects fail due to poor project governance than poor project management. The effectiveness of your governance team is therefore critical to a project's success, so they really do need to know what to do, when, why and how. And when they do, they become more effective and deliver more successful projects. So making sure your sponsors and steering committees are educated and know what they're doing is critical to your success, but the vast majority of executives in those roles have never been trained, they've never been told. The project may or may not enable the full delivery of the business outcomes. If you don't define the project outcomes, you have no mechanism for making sure that what the project has delivered will fully enable the delivery of the business outcomes. The full delivery of the project outcomes and benefits is rarely on the radar. Instead, they're managing to on time, on budget to specification. That's not good enough. It doesn't give you the information you require to make sure that you have delivered what you need to deliver the benefits. If you define your business outcomes and then your project outcomes, and then focus on delivering those project outcomes, you can measure that the project has enabled the subsequent full delivery of the business outcomes, benefits and value, i.e. the components of a successful project. The desired business results are not tracked or measured after the project's completion. There's just a hope that they will appear. Or in some organisations they have benefits managers who sit around waiting to see if the benefits will appear, but nobody knows if the project has actually enabled them. So the first problem with this is that often the business outcomes, benefits and value have not been fully identified at the outset, so they can't be measured at the end. Realisation of the benefits is replaced by excuses as to why this is not possible. Yet, these are your primary measures of success. This is why you commissioned the project in the first place, to get the business to a new end state, new set of outcomes, benefits and value. So the key is to identify them up front in a clear, specific value equation, then drive the whole project to deliver them so they can be measured as delivered and the project as successful. So if you want success, you must define it, plan for it, protect it, and ensure you deliver it. And as we've said, few business initiatives clearly define specific, measurable business outcomes, benefits and value. Therefore, few projects or programs are set up and wholly focused on delivering these outcomes, benefits and value. Therefore, projects deliver their outputs to achieve some outcomes that enable some capabilities that the business is then expected to translate into benefits, which is a very hazardous and failure-prone process. Yet delivering business success is simple when you start by clearly defining your long-term business measures of success, and then aligning every activity, decision and measure to ensure its full delivery. When you define your business outcomes, benefits and value, you can set up your project and program to deliver them without having to reinvent your project management skills. You can still use the same skills, but now focused on a different outcome. The governance team can then focus on optimizing, protecting and delivering these business success measures so as to ensure the project is successful and the organisation reaps the return on its investment. Hopefully that all makes sense. The solution is simple once you have a clear, specific and measurable definitions of success. So you need to start with the end defined and then measure that this end is successfully delivered and sustained. That's the key message. So the top value equation equips you to define your business outcomes, the end states that you're trying to achieve, the change workload to achieve them from your current state, quantify all the value available, justify the investment and establish its relative priority, and define a subset of outcomes and benefits for the project to deliver. This is what the value equation sets you up to achieve. You are now set up to successfully deliver your project. The top project governance program equips you to govern and successfully deliver not only the agreed project outcomes and benefits at minimum practical cost, but also subsequently the successful delivery of the business outcomes and benefits. But first you need to educate the business that this is their role. And then ensure the benefits are fully realised through the benefits delivery program, where it equips you to plan, track and fully deliver all of the post-project outcomes, benefits and value, so that you deliver both the short and the long-term value from each project investment. These 3 tools are available from totallyoptimizedprojects.com. They enable you to successfully not only deliver your project, but the business outcomes, benefits and value, to maximize the returns on the investment, routinely increasing them by at least 25% and often over 50%. A massive increase in the actual returns banked. Ladies and gentlemen, it really is that simple.